Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm John, and with me today is Tiffany, and we're your hosts from the Moore's Global Finance podcast team. Today, we're diving into a company that's been generating a lot of buzz, 7K Metals.
It certainly has been, John. You've given me a ton of information on them. And to be honest, they're a fascinating mix of traditional precious metals and some, well, let's say modern financial strategies.
Yeah, they're definitely an interesting case. For our listeners today, we're going to break it all down. What exactly is 7K Metals? How do they operate? What do they offer? And most importantly, should you even consider them for your financial plans?
It's like we're financial detectives. We're sifting through the claims and complexities to get to the bottom of it all. What's interesting right off the bat is that they're not your typical coin shop.
No, not at all. They're pushing this whole wealth-building ecosystem, but built on, you guessed it, a multi-level marketing or MLM structure.
Yeah.
That always raises some eyebrows.
It sure does, and it's something we'll be examining closely throughout this deep dive. But let's lay the groundwork first. 7K Metals, they launched back in 2016, and they've gone global since then. They offer a range of products, your gold and silver bullion, coins, even jewelry.
Okay, so they've got the precious metals angle covered, but then they add these memberships, basic and premium, and those start at $249 a year.
And here's where things get interesting. While you can buy metals directly, they really push recruiting new members. And of course, that recruitment focus often brings up comparisons with pyramid schemes, which is a concern we'll definitely address.
A big one, for sure. But before we get into the whole MLM debate, I'm curious about their products. They've got these themed collections like archaeology and symbolism or a solar system set. Who are they targeting with that?
That's a good point, John. By creating these themed collections, they're trying to appeal to a wider range of buyers, not just the hardcore investors. They're tapping into those collector instincts, people who might be drawn to the history, the aesthetic appeal, beyond just the pure investment value.
So casting a wider net, trying to get both the folks looking for tangible assets and those who like the collectible aspect.
Precisely. And this strategy shows up in their pricing, too. The research we're looking at indicates their prices for some of these, especially the collectible items, can be a bit higher than what you'd find from a traditional bullion dealer.
Makes sense. If they're going after collectors, they can leverage the uniqueness, the scarcity to command a premium.
Exactly. But for our listeners who are savvy investors, it highlights the importance of comparing prices, understanding the true value of what you're buying. Don't let that themed collection excitement lead to overpaying.
Yeah, buyer beware always applies.
Yeah.
Speaking of being careful, let's dive deeper into the costs involved with 7K Metals. We've got the membership fees, but they've got other services, each with its own cost structure.
This is where that wealth-building ecosystem they're pushing comes in. You've got the autosaver program for those monthly metal deliveries, the gold-backed IRA option, a stack and sell platform for managing your collection, even something called sound money that converts your cash to gold or silver digitally, starting at just $1.
Wow, that's a lot. It's like they're trying to be your one-stop shop for anything precious metals, and then they're expanding beyond that. Healthcare plans with 7K Health, savings programs with 7K Advantage, even ways to make money with their supplement income offering. It's a whole separate world.
It's ambitious, that's for sure. But with all these different branches, listeners, it's crucial to approach each one carefully. Don't just take their word for it. Compare what they're offering to other options on the market.
Right. Do your own research, read reviews, and make sure you understand all the fees, terms, and conditions before you commit to anything.
And thinking bigger picture here, diversification is great, but only if you're making informed decisions about each part of your portfolio. We don't want anyone jumping into a gold-backed IRA without fully grasping what it entails, right?
Absolutely not. And that actually brings up an important question. How do gold-backed IRAs work? And are they a good fit for everyone?
It's a great question, and one that a lot of people are asking these days, especially with all the economic uncertainty going around. The basic idea is that by having physical gold in your IRA, you're kind of shielding your retirement savings from inflation, market volatility, things like that.
So instead of having stocks or bonds, you've got actual gold bars or coins sitting in your retirement account.
Exactly. But it's not as easy as just buying some gold and throwing it in there. There are rules, regulations, things you have to follow. First off, the gold itself has to meet certain standards, purity levels. It has to be what they call investment grade gold, usually bullion bars or coins that are approved by the IRS.
So that solar system collection from 7K Metals probably wouldn't cut it for an IRA, huh?
Probably not. And here's another thing. You can't just keep the gold yourself. You need a third-party custodian, someone who specializes in holding precious metals for IRAs.
Makes sense. You don't want people hiding gold bars under their mattress and calling it an IRA.
Right. These custodians, they usually charge fees for storage, administration, and those can eat into your returns. So even though a gold-backed IRA can be a legitimate way to diversify your retirement portfolio, it's super important to understand all the costs involved.
And the risks too, right? Gold prices, they go up and down, just like any other investment. Just because gold has historically held its value, especially during tough times, doesn't mean it's a sure thing.
Absolutely. You've got to treat a gold-backed IRA just like any other investment. Do your research, weigh the pros and cons, and see how it fits into your overall strategy.
So for our listeners, does that mean 7K Metals gold-backed IRA is a good choice compared to others out there?
That's the real question, and that's where the due diligence comes in. We need to dig into their fees, the custodians they use, and compare all that to other reputable gold IRA providers.
Right, because the gold-backed IRA is just one part of this whole 7K Metals thing. They've got those healthcare plans, savings programs, those income opportunities they're always talking about.
It's a lot to keep track of. It's almost like they're trying to be everything to everyone, and that's where I get a little skeptical. Offering a wide range of services can be appealing, but it can also be a bit of a red flag.
I see what you mean. It makes you wonder if they're really experts in all these areas or if they're just casting a wide net, hoping something sticks.
Exactly. And for our listeners, the takeaway here is to be wary of any company that claims to be the one-stop shop for all your financial needs. It's rarely that simple.
Like that saying, jack of all trades, master of none. You want to work with specialists who really know their stuff.
That's a great analogy. Now, let's come back to that big question. The multi-level marketing structure of 7K Metals. We've touched on it, but we need to dive a bit deeper.
Okay, let's unpack this MLM thing.
Yeah.
For anyone who's not familiar, can you explain how it works and why it gets people worried?
Sure. So, multi-level marketing, MLM for short, it's a model where these independent distributors, they earn money from their own sales, but also from the sales of people they recruit into the network. It creates this like multi-tiered structure, and those at the top, they make commissions on what everyone below them is selling.
So you're incentivized not just to sell products, but to bring in new recruits.
Exactly. And that's where the problems often start. Critics argue that the focus on recruiting overshadows actually selling real products. It can become a situation where distributors make most of their money from recruiting, not from customers actually wanting the products.
And that starts to sound like a pyramid scheme, which of course is illegal.
Right, that's the important distinction to make. Some MLMs operate ethically, focusing on products, but others get close to that pyramid scheme territory. In a pyramid scheme, the main way to make money is by recruiting, and the products or services are almost an afterthought. Sometimes they don't even really exist.
So how can our listeners tell if it's a legitimate MLM or something shady?
There are some red flags. First, look at how they pay people. Does it heavily reward recruitment over actual product sales? Second, look at those products or services. Are they high quality? Are people buying them? Or are they overpriced and mostly bought by people within the network?
And I guess the final test is trust your gut. If a company's pushing you to recruit friends and family, making promises that sound too good to be true, it's probably best to walk away.
Those are excellent points. Now, bringing this back to 7K Metals, they do have real products, the precious metals, but that strong recruitment focus and the potential for higher prices, those are things that raise concerns.
Right. Listeners, you need to carefully look at 7K Metals' compensation plan, their product pricing, the whole culture of the company. Are they genuinely helping distributors build businesses through sales, or is it all about recruiting?
That's the million-dollar question. And to answer it, we need to understand 7K Metals' specific MLM structure. They've got these different membership levels, each with its own benefits and requirements.
Let's break those down. What's the difference between their basic and premium memberships, and how does that tie into how they pay people?
Good question. The basic membership starts at $249 per year, lets you buy metals at a discount, and you get access to that autosaver program. The premium membership, that's a lot more expensive, gives you more benefits and supposedly higher earning potential through, you guessed it, recruitment.
So there's a definite financial incentive to go premium, especially if you're looking to build that downline.
You got it. And this is where it gets tricky. 7K Metals says they're not a pyramid scheme because they sell real products, but the way their memberships are structured, that emphasis on recruitment, it needs closer scrutiny.
It's like they're trying to walk a fine line. They want to be seen as a legitimate precious metals dealer, but they're also using the MLM model to grow.
It's a complex situation, no doubt. For our listeners, it highlights why approaching 7K metals, or any MLM for that matter, with a healthy dose of skepticism is so important. Don't be lured in by promises of income without considering the risks and challenges.
Right. It's all about balancing the potential upsides with the potential downsides and making a decision that fits your goals and your risk tolerance.
And speaking of risks, there's something else that popped up in our research about 7K metals leadership. It's a bit of a head scratcher.
Oh, yeah, the current CEO, Sam Cook. But there's also mention of these four other individuals as founders. What's that all about?
It made me wonder, too, why wouldn't the original founders still be running the company? Makes you think about the company's history, how transparent they are.
Definitely raises some questions. Did the founders sell the company? Have they said anything publicly about this change in leadership? These are things our listeners should look into before, trusting 7K metals with their money.
Transparency is so important, especially in finance. Any inconsistencies, lack of clarity, those are red flags.
Absolutely. It all comes down to doing your due diligence, making sure you feel good about who you're doing business with.
Couldn't agree more. We've covered a lot, but we're not quite finished. We've looked at 7K Metals products, their pricing, the MLM structure, even the leadership. But there's one more piece to this puzzle.
Okay, what's that?
What are people saying? The customers, are they happy with 7K Metals? Are they getting what they expected? Do they feel good about the MLM opportunity? Or do they feel pressured or misled?
That's a crucial perspective.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the world of custom reviews and see what we can find.
The information we have shows a mixed bag, some good, some not so good. Some customers are praising 7K Metals, they love that autosaver program, and the potential savings through 7K Health.
That's good to hear. Sounds like they're delivering on at least some of their promises.
Yeah. But there's another side to the story. Some customers complain about prices being higher than other dealers. They talk about pushy recruitment tactics, and some even say it's hard to cancel their memberships.
Whoa, those are serious claims. Sounds like there's a real disconnect between the positive and negative experiences.
What's interesting is that a lot of the negative reviews focus on the MLM side of things. People just wanting to buy precious metals seem okay with the products themselves, but those who get involved with the recruitment side, that's where the frustration and disappointment come in.
That makes sense given what we've been talking about. The MLM model, it can be profitable, but can also lead to some shady behavior and unrealistic expectations.
Precisely. Listeners, it's another reminder to be cautious. Don't get caught up in the potential to make money that you overlook the risks and red flags. Do your research, read reviews from different sources, and be wary of companies that prioritize recruitment over actually making their customers happy.
Exactly. It's all about finding the balance between opportunity and, ethical business practices. A good MLM should be about helping its distributors build real businesses by selling good products, not by constantly pushing them to recruit, recruit, recruit.
Well said. So we've looked at 7K metals from all these different angles, their products, pricing, the MLM, leadership, customer feedback. Now it's time to put it all together, give our listeners some key takeaways.
Okay, let's summarize what we've learned. What are the most important things to keep in mind about 7K metals?
I think it comes down to a few key points. First, remember that 7K Metals operates within this multi-level marketing structure. Recruitment is a big part of how they do business, and while it can be legitimate, it comes with risks.
Right. Understand their compensation plan, how much emphasis they put on recruitment, and be aware of the pressure to bring in friends and family.
Second, those mixed customer experiences, some good, some bad, that's a signal to do your homework. Read lots of reviews, compare prices, know the terms and conditions of any agreement before you sign.
Essential advice for any financial decision.
And third, approach their whole wealth-building ecosystem carefully. Don't assume that just because they offer it, their gold-backed IRA, healthcare plans, savings programs are automatically the best options.
You've got to compare, get advice, and make decisions that fit your needs, not just get pulled in by the convenience of having everything in one place.
Absolutely. And finally, remember, knowledge is power. The more you know about a company, its products, how it operates, the risks and rewards, the better decisions you'll make.
Those are great points. So what's the verdict? 7K metals, shining opportunity, or something to avoid?
That's not for us to say. Ultimately, it's up to each listener to decide if 7K Metals is right for them. We've provided the information, the analysis, the insights. Now it's up to them to weigh it all and make a choice that aligns with their values, their goals, and their risk tolerance.
Right. We're not giving financial advice, but we are giving our listeners the tools to be informed and make smart decisions.
Exactly. That's what the deep dive is all about, helping you navigate the world of finance and making choices that work for you.
Okay, so we've really dug into 7K Metals, looked at their products, the pricing, that whole MLM structure, even their leadership, and what customers are saying.
It's been quite a journey, right? Uncovering both the shiny parts and those potential pitfalls. Now it's time to bring it all together for our listeners, give them those key takeaways.
Yeah, let's crystallize it all. What are the most important things to keep in mind if you're thinking about 7K Metals?
I think it boils down to a few crucial things. First off, 7K metals, they're built on multi-level marketing. That means recruitment, it's a core part of their business model. And while it can be legitimate, it definitely requires a cautious approach.
Absolutely. Understanding that emphasis on recruitment, that's essential. Don't get so focused on the potential income from building a downline that you overlook carefully evaluating their products and services, as standalone offerings.
Exactly. And about those products, they do have a diverse selection from your standard bullion to those collectible coins, even jewelry. They're trying to appeal to both investors and collectors with that range.
Their themes collections, those are a smart marketing tactic for sure.
Yeah.
But this is where being informed comes in. Don't get so caught up in the collectible aspect that you end up paying more than you should.
Great point. Always compare prices, do your research, especially if you're primarily looking at this as an investment, not just collecting. Now, one of 7K Metal's big selling points is this whole wealth building ecosystem they talk about. Precious metals, gold-backed IRAs, healthcare plans, savings programs, even income opportunities. It can feel
Okay.
overwhelming.
It really is a lot to take in, and diversification is generally a good thing, but it's crucial to look at each part of that ecosystem critically. Don't just assume that because 7K Metals offers something, it's automatically the best option.
Right. Don't fall into that one-stop shop trap. Compare what they offer with other providers. Talk to financial advisors. Make those informed decisions that are right for you, for your specific needs and goals.
Couldn't agree more. And this brings us to, I think, the most important takeaway from our deep dive today. Knowledge is power. The more you understand about a company, its products, how it operates, the better equipped you'll be to make those smart financial decisions.
That's the heart of it all. So, to wrap up, for our listeners considering 7K metals, or any investment for that matter, here's the bottom line.
Okay, let's hear those actionable steps.
Do your research. Don't just rely on what the company tells you. Look for independent reviews, compare prices, even talk to financial professionals if you need to.
Great advice. A balanced perspective is so important.
Absolutely. And read the fine print. Seriously, this can't be overstated. Pay close attention to fees, terms, conditions, all of it. Don't be afraid to ask questions, get clarification on anything that seems unclear, or, honestly, too good to be true.
That's a golden rule for any financial decision.
And lastly, trust your gut. If something feels off or raises those red flags, don't ignore it. Don't let pressure or hype cloud your judgment.
Investing should be empowering, not stressful or something you feel pressured into. Take your time, get informed, and make choices that align with your goals and your comfort level.
Well said, John. It's your financial journey, and you get to decide how to navigate it.
So there you have it, everyone, our deep dive into 7K Metals. We hope this has been insightful, give you some things to think about.
As always, thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep investing in your knowledge.
That's the key to financial success and peace of mind. Thanks for listening.